Look out, Thunderheads. The Midgets are back in Richmond, Virginia, and look who's back in a midget. Fresh from the Indy 500 Rookie of the Year honors, Tony Stewart cleaned up last week at Terre Haute. Watch this kid up against his old rival, now teammate, Kenny Irwin. Watch him last year, bumping at every opportunity. This year, they're driving similar paint jobs, but still not afraid to get close together. But it's not Kenny, it's Kenneth Nichols, who's won the last two races. Now it's on to Richmond. Here at Richmond International Raceway, they're calling it USAC Open Wheel Madness. We're calling it a heck of a Saturday night on Thunder. The USAC Skoll National Midget Series is in town, along with their big brothers, and it's going to be a heck of a show on a hot summer night. Temperature in the 80s, humidity off the scale. These boys are going to earn their bucks tonight on this 3/4 mile oval. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to Thunder on the Deuce, coming back to Richmond. First time the Midgets have been in Virginia in more than 20 years. Johnny Parsons promoted a race here back then. He's part of the story tonight. We'll get to that in a moment. Back after the war, 45, 46, they used to fill the local short track here for midget races. Midget racing was a big deal in this part of the country. Now, of course, well, Richmond International Raceway is a palace of stock car racing, a 3/4 mile D-shaped oval. But last year we came back here with the USAC cars, the Silver Crown cars. It was a terrific show, so tonight we add the midgets for a big doubleheader. Come with me, we'll take a walk. We want to talk to the guy who's back in the midget. He was such a big story at the Indy 500. Dazzled everybody with his performance there, sitting on the pole, Rookie of the Year. Now he's back in the midget, won last week at Terre Haute. We'll show you the highlights in a moment. Hello, Tony Stewart, old friend of Thunder. Nice to see you back in the little cars.
Oh, it's great to be back here. You know, this is fun to me. This is kind of the way I spend my vacation. We don't have anything going on with the Indy cars or Busch cars this weekend, so you know, I got to learn to drive this track in a Busch car eventually, so I might as well get some miles in a Silver Crown car and a midget tonight.
That makes a lot of sense. It'll be a long night of action. You got a 34-lap feature here, qualified okay. Talk to me about a midget on this racetrack. How does the car behave on this Big D?
Well, so far this afternoon, this thing's been a handful. You know, my car's been pretty twitchy and been loose, where my teammate Kenny Irwin, his car's been pushing tonight, and a car that I own with Larry Curry, it's been pushing tonight too. So I guess I'm the only one that's having the loose condition right now. But we made some changes after qualifying and made some pretty substantial changes, so we feel like we got everything settled in for the race.
So when you go out there with all those fresh changes under you, what's the strategy? Do you ride it for 10 laps or so and see how it's behaving, or do you go straight to the front?
Well, I think the first couple laps, everybody will try to be, you know, basically be sorting themselves out, and you can probably learn it in that period of time. You know, a couple laps is all you really need to notice the changes that you've made, and then by that time the race will be really settled in and really get on the pace.
All right, man, good to see you back in the midget. Last year he was the champion in this division and the Silver Crown division and the sprint division. Tonight he's back here at Richmond. We're going to talk to the fast qualifier in a moment, but first let's hear from the guys who have the best seat in the house, way up top side of the three-time USAC national champion Larry Rice, and the cat who's going to call the play-by-play on Thunder, Bob Jenkins.
Thank you very much, Dave, and good evening, everyone. And Larry, Thunderheads everywhere can be very proud of the job that Tony Stewart did at the Indy 500 this year.
I tell you what, he was just terrific. I mean, he made us proud from the minute he got in the car down at Orlando until the end of the 500. He's still making us proud. And, you know, he's not the first one of these Thunderheads that's done that. Jeff Gordon, a few guys like that come to mind as well.
And he is not the only person here tonight that entered and got into the Indianapolis 500 or tried to. We got several 500 stars here.
That's right. And we'll get to those guys a little more as we talk about it all night long, you know, including the guys that didn't quite make it and that still did a terrific job.
Well, we referred to the most recent outing of the United States Auto Club Midget Series. It was in a well-known facility in western Indiana. It was rain-plagued, but they finally got it in. 33 USAC midgets showed up at the Terre Haute action track last Friday night. Tony Stewart was welcomed back to the series after his Rookie of the Year performance at the Indy 500. He quickly showed he can still get around a half-mile dirt track, qualifying third behind Randy Cook and Andy Pierce. In the fourth heat, Tim Shutt escaped injury when he flipped in the front stretch after contact with another car. It took Stewart exactly one lap to wrestle the lead away from Tracy Hines in the 30-lap feature. The nastiest crash of the night involved Steve Barth, who did several endos on the front stretch. He was released from a local hospital after a checkup. Kenny Irwin's night ended early when he stopped on the back stretch and finished 17th, but still took over the points lead. Andy Pierce jumped the cush in the second turn halfway through the event and found going extremely tough, but he escaped injury. Stewart, who will have a busy summer in Busch Grand National and the IRL, led the entire 30-lap distance and has now been in front for 136 consecutive midget laps run at Terre Haute. Kevin Doty was runner-up, followed by Dave Darlin, Carl Olson, and Randy Cook. So Kenny Irwin Jr. emerges from Terre Haute with the points lead in the USAC National Skull Midget Series. Now, one guy we need to talk about before we go any further, somebody that Dave referred to, Johnny Parsons. He was in a crash here during warm-ups, but apparently is okay, Larry.
Yes, they did a CAT scan back at the hospital. They've released him. He is doing okay, but I'll tell you what, he hit the wall awfully hard coming out of number 4, don't you?
And he apparently has come back here to the racetrack, so we wish Johnny Parsons our best. Let's take a look at the top qualifiers here tonight. Andy Michener, your best at almost 126 miles an hour. Doug Kalita second. Kenneth Nichols third, going for 3 in a row on the pavement in midgets. Kenny Irwin Jr., the points leader, is 4th fastest tonight. Tracy Hines 5th, and Ronnie John Cox is in 6th position. Let's talk to Andy Michener, Dave.
Yeah, last time you saw these colors, Tony Stewart's name was on the side of the car. The Menard colors. This is Larry Curry's car. He's the race manager for Team Menard. But the driver, Andy Michener, fast qualifier tonight. That's pretty cool. 125 miles an hour. Got to be flying around this joint. Does it feel fast?
Yeah, I tell you what, it really does. You know, with but Larry and Matt Curry and Don Skinner provide a really good car for us. And you know, it's turn 4 is a little bit tricky. You're really hauling your momentum around there. But you know, we'll see what we can do tonight.
All right, you got 34 laps. You start 6th with the inversion. How long is it going to take you to get to the front? Make me a prediction.
Well, I hope within 10 laps.
All right, watch him go. Huh?
Don't hold me on that. Hopefully we can do it sooner. But you know, that's our game plan, to get to the front as quick as we can. You know, the 21 car is going to be awful quick, and the 9 car up there is going to be quick. So, you know, we're gonna give it our best shot. This is kind of a maiden voyage for this car. So, you know, we're learning a lot of things with it, and hopefully we'll get up the front real quick.
New car, great driver. I guarantee he knows they pay the money on the last lap. We're going to take a break and watch it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the USAC Midgets on Thunder, followed by the Silver Crown cars. A very big night. Stay with us. This Thunder special, the Silver Crown cars from Richmond, brought to you by the more than 1,300 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. I tell you what, Richmond, Virginia is a pretty racy village. These folks know all about stock car racing, but they got a big taste of the open wheel cars last year when the big cars came here, the Silver Crown cars. Now they've invited the midgets to join the show, as we said at the top, and it's going to be 2 very different kinds of races. This, baby, is what we're used to seeing on Thunder, a little short 30-mile sprint. The big cars, the Silver Crown cars, that's a 100-miler with a lot of interesting potential pit strategy. Let's talk about the format for tonight's special 2.5-hour version of Thunder. Back to Bob and Larry.
Yeah, we got a lot of racing for you in the next 2 hours and 20 minutes. First of all, tonight's format regarding the midgets, we've already had qualifying, and Andy Michener, as you've already heard, is the fastest. The top 18 were locked into the feature. Then we had a 10-lap last chance race from which the top 6 were gotten, and now we're set for a 34-lap, 25.5-mile sprint featuring the National Skull Midget Series. Later on tonight, the Silver Crown cars will come onto the racetrack. We had 24 of the top qualifiers locked into the feature and 6 taken from a 20-lap last chance race. The Silver Crown feature will consist of 134 laps, 100 miles. And there is a couple of Silver Crown cars as they are preparing to go out right after this race.
Yeah, they're sitting there getting ready to go. The Midgets cars, Jack Hewitt won the semi-feature, the last chance race in the Midgets, as he did last year in the Silver Crown race. Remember what happened then? He went on to win the Silver Crown race, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can come from the back of the pack, 13th position, and win this, just like he did the Silver Crown race last year.
This is the place where we run 2 NASCAR Winston Cup races every year and televised for you on ESPN. It is 3/4 of a mile, and it is not a true oval. It is a D-shaped oval. The back stretch is 860 feet. The front stretch is banked at 8 degrees, and the corners are banked at 14 degrees. And I tell you, this is an absolutely beautiful facility here at Richmond International Raceway. The Sawyers have put millions and millions of dollars into this facility, and with some cooperation from the people in Henrico County and the Richmond metropolitan area, here we are set for some open wheel madness at beautiful RIR. Now we have a helmet cam on Ryan Newman tonight, and he'll be hopefully giving us some good shots from about mid-pack. He starts in the 15th position.
Yes, a helmet cam as opposed to a cage cam. This is on his helmet, so it's going to, you can see it right there. Look just above his, on the top of his helmet, you can see the cam. It's taped on there. It's going to be a very interesting view what he sees when he sees it, whether he's looking at his gauges, whether he's looking around on either side of him. So it's going to be an interesting shot that we've never had before.
Caution flag is still out, and before it gets too late, Larry, we got to say hi and happy birthday to my mom, who is watching from the Heritage Regency in Richmond, Indiana. Happy birthday, Mom. 81 years old today. Here's the starting lineup for the Skull Midget race here at Richmond. Ronnie John Cox will be on the pole in car number 8, and Tracy Hines alongside in row 7. Kenny Irwin Jr. starts third, flanked by Kenneth Nichols. Doug Kalita and Andy Mishner are in the top third row. Fourth row, Tony Stewart and Brian Gerster. The fifth row, Michael Lang and Steve Barth. In row number 6, it's Russ Gamester and Kevin Doty. The seventh row, Jack Hewitt and Jimmy McCune. Ryan Newman and Jeff Sands make up row number 8. In the ninth row, it's Chris Schultz and David Bridges. The 10th row, Carl Olson and Nate Law. The 11th row, Mark Boyce and Jeff Howerton. Cars number 42 and 22. And Robbie Flock will also join the field in car number 6. And Jeff Howerton is not on the racetrack. There he is.
He is already out. He's got his helmet off, and that does not look good for him. He's a young man that came out here with a lot of high hopes. Of course, his father, Jackie Howerton, and here's Mark Boyce. He also is pulled into the pits before the start of the race. So a couple of guys having trouble before the green flag even falls.
Young man from Noblesville, Indiana, who was going to be in only his second midget race here tonight, but it looks like that'll have to wait for another time.
Yeah, it's a tough break for those guys. You travel a long ways. You have a lot of high hopes, especially young guys like that haven't run too much, and it's very, very tough for them to have a break like this. And I guess we're getting a report that Robbie Flock also is pulled into the garage area. So we've got 3 fatalities here in the car realm before we get going.
But the pace car is off the track, and we are getting set for 34 laps of midget racing at Richmond on Thunder, and we are underway. And look at the scramble into turn number 1. This is a nice wide racetrack, and they take up every inch of it. 3 wide into the corner.
3 and 4 breaths going down that main straightaway. It looks like Kenny Irwin has got the lead into the first corner.
Yep, Kenny Irwin is going to come off corner number 4 and be the leader. And Stewart is running in second position.
So the Steve Lewis cars, starting from the third row on back, have emerged as the first 2 guys to finish that first lap. What a move by both of those guys.
John Cox is running in third position. Now Doug Kalita goes by on a nice move to the inside. That's Kalita in the blue car number 21, who just shot into third position.
Well, he went in there. He got all sideways as he shot past those guys, but he did make the car stick. As you saw the 16 car, Kenneth Nichols, that greenish-colored car right there, he got a little twitchy.
And there's Ryan Newman as he tries to bide his time here in the early going and let the traffic settle down and then find a spot to move up later in the race.
You can see his head moving around from that camera shot. His head's jiggling when he hit those bumps. He got down on the yellow to get a little rough.
That looks like Barth got a little bit sideways in that yellow number 14 car there in the second corner, but everything is well. And look at Doug Kalita come up on Tony Stewart to challenge him for second position. Again, it's Irwin leading. Stewart is second, and Kalita is running third in the black and blue number 21.
Chris Schultz in the 70 cars pulled into the pit area. It looks like his day is done, but you're right. Kalita really seems to be hauling that car into turn 3 a lot harder than anybody else. Letting it go up in the middle, kind of diamonding down off and getting a big run down this long D-shaped front straightaway. And it seems to be working very, very well for him.
John Cox, Tracy Hines there in 7. That's Kenneth Nichols in 16, and Mishner in car number 2 as they battle for the 5th, 6th, and 7th position.
Did I hear Tony Stewart say the car that he and Larry Curry owned a little earlier? Is he a part owner of the car that Andy Midget is running?
Well, Larry Curry is the crew chief for the Menard IndyCar stable, and he owns this number 2 that Michener is driving. It's carrying the Menard colors. Here's a really good race. 4 cars, actually 5 cars, as now John Cox and the others catch up a little bit to Doug Coletta, who has dropped back a little bit from Tony Stewart running in 2nd position. So perhaps Coletta's heated up the tires a little bit.
Exactly what I was going to say, Bob. I think all that bonsai, those really quick moves into 3 might have cost him something in the tire department. You can only get those tires so hot before they start going away, and then you have to slow down and let them cool off. He probably very badly needs a yellow to help cool that right rear tire down right now. As you can see, a little bit of smoke, a little haze coming off of it as he comes off of turn 4.
You can see, indeed, that on the left side of the car, a little bit of smoke coming from the 2 car of Andy Michener. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, all of the line, down the backstretch. Tracy Hines looks to the inside of John Cox. They run side by side through the corner. Meanwhile, Ryan Newman has a pretty good battle going with Jeff Sands. Now back to this little tussle between John Cox and the 7 car of Tracy Hines.
Tracy Hines is a young man that really didn't start racing as early as his brother and his father. He kind of delayed the start for a long, long time. His dad got him going, and look at this. He's down to the inside of John Cox this time. He makes a stick. John Cox moves up, trying to carry enough momentum to get around him, but he couldn't do it. Hines made that pass look pretty nice.
Tracy Hines to 4th, John Cox back to 5th, and Dave Despain, we're seeing a little bit of attrition here in the early going. Several cars are back there in the garage area with you.
Just real quick, Boyce's car simply wouldn't fire. Bridges' car started, shook a little bit, and the engine was sounded bad. They checked and there's water in the oil, and asked about the ownership on that Menard Midget. Larry Curry said no, Tony Stewart does not own part of that car.
Caution is out on the racetrack. The yellow flag is being displayed. We don't see any particular problem. Could be a little bit of oil on the track or perhaps debris in some location. In any case, the caution comes out. And that's really a break for Doug Coletta because Tracy Hines passed him. Oh, there's the reason for the caution. It's Nate Law who's up against the outside wall in turn number 3.
Yes, Nate Law obviously got the front end in there. You can see the right front wheel and the black marks on the wall. Not a good sign for him. He did get up there and got into the wall. Looks like pretty hard as the black marks show you right there to the right of the Goodyear sign.
I was about to say because of the caution they go back to the previous lap, and Doug Coletta will go back into 3rd, although Tracy Hines passed him before we did go to the caution. So the rescue crew is out there in turn number 3 tending to Nate Law. We've completed 11 of 34 laps here in our National Skull Midget race at Richmond International Raceway. Back at Richmond, where we're under caution, and some bad news here for Ryan Newman carrying our helmet cam. Looks like they've I guess they're going to push him out again, aren't they?
Right. 48 car of Russ Gamester is being pushed behind the wall, though. It looks like he is finished, but Newman is going back out. I think maybe they changed the tire while they came in on that stop. So, jacked up anyway, and looking under there, I think maybe that's what they were doing.
Young man from South Bend, Indiana, who is trying to make his mark in the USAC midget ranks. These laps, by the way, do not count under the caution. We have completed 10 good laps of the 34. And we go down to Dave Despain.
Well, the attrition continues. The word on Russ Gamester, broken valve spring, has knocked him out of the competition. And just a quick update for those of you who saw the night before the 500 race and thought, gee, that Victory Lane celebration seemed rather subdued for Kenneth Nichols and the crew. They thought the car was underweight. They knew they needed about 4 gallons of fuel in that car to make the weight minimum. And look who shows up here. Mr. Nowicki has the answer. What happened up there at why was everybody so unhappy after the race? You won the race, and we thought, well, everybody's going to be cheering, and it didn't happen that way.
We thought we was going to have to give all the money back and trophy, and I mean, he thought it was completely out of fuel, and I knew if it was going to be under the minimum weight. But it still had 2.5 gallons of fuel in it. It just wasn't picking it up.
So you guys cut it really, really close. How much do you figure you got to have in it to make the minimum 900 pounds?
After seeing their scales are different, about 3.5 gallons.
Now you cut a little closer next time, right?
Yeah, definitely. It had about 3 or 4 pounds of oil and oil dry all over it, or we'd have been in trouble.
Bottom line, the thing weighed 901 pounds, and that was worth an extra $4,000 because these guys won the wins challenge. Congratulations after the fact. That explains why it was such a bum victory circle. Back upstairs.
Midget racing in Richmond, Virginia. You got to go back many, many years to find these photos of when they used to compete back in the 40s at Richmond Midget Stadium. Some of the greatest names in all of racing. Lee Waller, Jimmy Bryan used to race here. Tonight, we're at the beautiful Richmond International Raceway for the same thing, the Midgets. And we'll be right back. Still under caution here at Richmond in our midget race. 10 of 34 laps have been completed. We're cautioned because Nate Law hit the wall up in turn number 3. Let's take a look at some of the upcoming United States Auto Club events. Saturday, the Stoops Freightliner Sprint Cars and the Midgets are in action at Winchester. The Western States Gold Midgets are in action at Santa Maria, California. And Sunday, the Midgets are at Indianapolis Raceway Park in Claremont, Indiana. Now the field is being showed the 1 more lap to go sign, so when they come around again, they'll be getting the green flag. It's Kenny Irwin Jr. at the front of the field with his teammate Tony Stewart right behind him, then Doug Coletta, Tracy Hines, Ronnie John Cox, and the fastest qualifier, Andy Michener.
Yeah, Andy Michener was kind of hanging on there, but it's going to be interesting to see what Doug Coletta can do. That black car running in third, he really made a move early, and then he kind of fell back when these tires got hot. Tracy Hines started getting around him, so it's going to be interesting to see if this period helped him to cool the tires, and he's going to be faster.
All right, let's see what happens as the field begins to accelerate off the 4th corner, looking for the green flag and a restart. They get it, and look at Coletta and Stewart both.
Coletta got a terrific start. He hung back, got on the throttle real early, almost pulled out the pass, but look at Stewart. He's sideways inside his teammate, almost got together with him.
Oh, man, what a move by Tony Stewart. He didn't gain anything by it. In fact, he may have heated up the tires, but he maintained second position. So now it is Irwin, Stewart, and Coletta, all 3 right together. They leave Tracy Hines a little bit behind them, and Coletta now looks to the outside of Tony Stewart.
What he did was get Kenny Irwin's attention enough to make him stand up in the seat a little bit here, because he knows now that this thing is not going to be easy. Stewart is right on him and coming after him very, very hard. Look at Coletta. He's making another move to the inside. This D shape is kind of deceiving for the drivers. It looks like you've got a line to get around a guy getting into one, but in reality, oh, look at Coletta. He blew the engine big time. Oh, and a upside down.
And a big fire as the fuel cell obviously let go, and we see one driver jumping out quickly. Man, that was a hard hit taken. Was it Hines that...
Oh, there's some more fuel going off out of the 7 car.
And look at everybody scrambling out of their cars, though.
You can see the drivers. It looks like there's one more getting out. I think that just should be all of them that have gotten out of their cars. We've got one on fire out there. One guy that's still got his feet on fire. At
least a little bit of fire there on the lower part of his leg.
Where's the fire trucks?
Here comes the safety crew, but look at what's going on over in turn number 2. Boy, this is just a very, very bad situation. The red flag has been displayed, and the race has been stopped. And now they're trying to maneuver other cars away from the major fire so they won't catch fire, because we have a lot of fuel that has been spilled on the racetrack itself.
Well, that was Tracy Hines' car that got into the fence very, very hard. The back of it, you can see they're spraying water. Some of the other drivers, they ran through the fire. Several of them ran through the fire as it was trailing down the racetrack. They were trying to get away from the race cars, and they ran right through it and obviously got some hot feet out of it. It looks like they have done a terrific job of getting that out. That blaze was really going big time, and once they got there, they got it out very, very quickly.
There's Jeff Sands, who has gotten out. Kenny Irwin is out of the car. He wasn't involved in the incident.
He's on the right side there. He's just coming up to see how everybody is. That's Tracy Hines, like you said. He's okay standing there.
Man, he took a shot.
He took a terrible shot. He hit that wall awfully hard. When that car of Coletta's, there's Michener up there in the upper left-hand corner, standing there looking at his race car after he got taken into the fence. When Coletta blew the engine through oil, obviously, all over the racetrack, these guys did not have a chance. They got in that oil, bam. You could see that they were having all kinds of trouble just just trying to save themselves.
There's Kenneth Nichols, who's out of his car. It was involved. It all started, and when we have a chance to take our breath here and go back and look, it all started when Doug Kalita apparently blew the engine in corner number 2, and that put down probably some moisture on the racetrack and created a very bad visibility problem. And from then on, it was just everybody piling into the wall and piling into each other.
Well, obviously Tracy Hines took the worst hit of anybody. I think Michener got into him. Some of these cars back in the back may not be damaged too much. They were just on the brakes trying to get out of the way. As we take a look at the replay.
Here they are coming off of corner number 2 there. They're the first two, and Kalita's engine apparently lets go.
You can see the smoke. You can see that he's sliding in his own oil. Tracy Hines on the right-hand side. He's already sideways. He's hit it. So is, look at Michener. He went right over Michener's car. When he backed into the wall so hard, the fuel erupted out of that car. Everybody else is coming around here just trying to get stopped and get out of the way. But, boy, there was just too many cars everywhere for people to get around.
We saw Ronnie Johncox in that number 8 car. When he came off the wall, he immediately threw out the steering wheel. Now he begins to unbuckle and climb out of the car. There is Hines, who was already out of the car and running across the track. And again, two things. First of all, everybody had the presence of mind to get out of their cars as quickly as possible. And then you can
see that's Hines right there. His foot is on fire. He stepped in that fuel as he got out of the car, and the fuel got on his feet as you see it running down the racetrack towards the other race cars. They're very fortunate it didn't get to any of the other race cars. Everybody was out of the way because it could have been a lot worse than it was.
And the other thing I wanted to say is, boy, hats off to the fire department here, because they worked there quickly, and when they arrived, they had the thing out.
And once they got there, they got it out very, very quickly. It just seemed like an eternity to us sitting up here, but they were there very quickly.
Okay, there's Hines.
Look at the fuel.
Oh, man.
Look at the fuel all over everybody.
There's Nichols up there on the right.
That's Andy Michener who got out of the car first. That fuel was all over him. He got out. He ran the heck out of there right away. John Cox, he got out of his car very quickly, the white number 8 car down there. And you can see Tracy Hines up there on the upper left hand. Watch him just step in the fuel. He steps in it.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
All over the place. And he's running along there. It's his right leg that was on fire as he got down there. And he was rolling around trying to put it out. Yeah, but he was walking in that fuel, and you can see it all over the ground there. It was everywhere.
Kenneth Nichols has come from his car on the far right to see what he can do for Tracy Hines. Here is another angle. Now watch Kalita spin, get loose, and then behind him, Tracy Hines lose it.
Absolutely no control. He's just trying to keep his car under control. You can see all the oil spewing out all over the place out there behind him. While meanwhile, back behind everybody trying to miss all that fire and disruption in front of them. The guys on back farther actually had a better chance to miss it than some of the others.
Just an absolute inferno. There is Kevin Doty. He's okay, and Dave is standing by with Jeff Sands.
Yeah, Jeff's on the other side of the fence, actually, so I'll ask you to lean in as best you can, Jeff, and give us a first-hand account of what you saw, what happened from your viewpoint.
I was kind of deep in the field back about 10th or back, and I seen the 7-car Tracy Hines and the 2-car Andy Michener get together and get up against the wall, and then there was a heck of a fire. So I spun to avoid sideways to avoid the crash, and I could feel the heat on my back, and I jumped out and seen all the fuel coming down the track. So pretty scary moment, but I think everybody's okay.
That's the good news. Everybody did get out of the car. So thank you very much, Jeff Sands, for hanging with us here for that report. This fence goes all the way around the inside of this NASCAR racetrack. So I'll tell you what, I don't want to be out there anyway. That's a mess. Everybody got out of the cars. It appears nobody's hurt.
Wow, that is good news. I wouldn't doubt but what a few people maybe have some minor burns on their feet, especially Tracy Hines, but there are the 4 main drivers that were involved in the incident, and everybody out. 4 more, Kenneth Nichols and John Cox, and Lang also either spun to avoid or simply stopped when they saw the track blocked by a tremendous amount of flame. Well, there are some cars that are in pretty bad shape, Larry, but the good news is the drivers are all right.
Boy, that is exactly right. It's great that they all got out there, but look at that. That looks awful.
Man, oh, man. Well, we are under red, needless to say, here at Richmond, as a crash has interrupted our midget race. We'll be right back. We are back at Richmond International Raceway, awaiting the cleanup to be completed over in turn number 2 after a bad crash involving several cars at a big fire, but everybody not seriously injured. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Larry Rice, and Dave Despain is down in the pit area. Well, we saw the results of the sprint race at IRP. While we were there last Sunday, we ran into an old friend, Dan Drynan. who's had some sheet time recently as a result of a crash at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It was the first time we've seen Dan in nearly a month. May 18th to be exact, when he suffered numerous injuries, including a concussion, bruised left lung, fractured left foot, and broken left hip while trying to reach qualifying speed for the Indianapolis 500. So Dan, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, actually. The walls have been closing in on me on the house. We finally got out last couple of days. I went to Terre Haute the other night, first time back at the track, and actually it felt really good to get out of the house and get some miles on the crutches. So it's going to be a couple weeks, about 3 more weeks before I can put weight on the leg, and then I can start my therapy. That's been the hardest part. The doctor doesn't want me doing any kind of therapy to possibly damage the hip socket. And once he's done with his 3-week checkup, then we can get into that and hopefully get back in the car.
The crash on the 3rd day of time trials has put a halt to Dryden's racing for a while.
I really was looking forward to running Richmond, driving the champ car for David Calderwood. We went down and tested. The car was really good there. It took my Midget. I knew it was going to be fast there, and it proved really quick at the test, and I'm kind of missing the whole thing. I'm sorry that I can't be there. I'd love to be there, but we'll be at the next one.
All right, Dryden, we miss you. We look forward to you being back here soon to go out and play with your buddies like Kenny Irwin Jr. and Tony Stewart. Last year, I wouldn't have wanted to stand between these two guys on a few occasions, but now they're best friends, they're teammates, and from the look of what we've seen here tonight, you guys are ready to go out and put on a heck of a show. Let me start with you, Stewart, because we got a little piece of tape, I think, maybe, of the restart when you try to get around this guy for the lead and looked like you about sent the thing sideways. What was that all about?
I forgot that Terre Haute was last week, not this week. You know, I got underneath Kenny, and Coletta was trying to get under me, so, you know, I just ran in a little harder than I normally would and kind of got it a bit sideways. But, you know, he's fast right now, and I got some work to do to catch up, and I thought I got a good run on the restart and thought if I could get him on going into one, I'd get by and try to stay ahead for a while.
Aha, he's fast right now, so this is the guy we should be talking to. Kenny Irwin Jr., you got a car that'll win this thing. Can you hold these guys off?
No, I think so. On that restart, when we both went into one, I had to kind of pinch him down, and he got sideways, and then I got sideways. I know I had to put on a good show, but, you know, my job now is just to stay out in front of Stewart, and I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think we're going to put on a good show and see how it happens.
Does it ever occur to you guys when you're pulling tricks like that the boss might be a little unhappy if you manage to wad these two team cars up like that?
The boss is chewing his fingernails right now. I want to say hi to Steve. I miss you, buddy, and we're doing the best we can. Hopefully we'll bring this thing 1-2 for you.
All right, we're being told now that this is going to be a 25-lapper because they've thrown the red, so that'll shorten the thing up a little bit. That means you don't have to hold on quite as long.
Yeah, you know, in fact, they could stop it at 15 if they wanted.
Did you guys have any idea what was happening behind you? I assume not. And so the next question is, what did you think when you came back around and saw it?
You know, that was a terrible sight for us coming around. You know, both Kenny and I, we came around the corner, and Tracy's car, it was just all flames. I didn't even know whose car it was. You couldn't see it. It was so much flame and smoke. So we both got out pretty quick, and we just wanted to make sure everybody got out and the cars all right. You know, about the time we got there, the safety people were getting there. So, you know, we knew it was bad. There was a lot of fuel on the racetrack, and, you know, it was quite a bit of mess back there.
All right, glad to see you guys are okay. One more for you. You're leading in the midget division, leading the Silver Crown thing. You're going to be pretty busy here tonight because you're running both divisions. Any chance that, you know, you're thinking along the lines of what this guy tried to did accomplish last year, to go out and win multiple championships?
I'd like to think that we could win the Silver Crown and the midget deal tonight. But the thing is, the next race, the next Champ Car race, Stewart starts right beside me in the feature. So looks like we're going to have a good show in that, too.
I'm not going to get between you guys again tonight. This is the last time. Let's go back upstairs.
Okay, we'll look forward to the Silver Crown race coming up at the conclusion of this race, which has been reduced to 25 laps. Now, you might want to get your dialing fingers. If you do have somebody that you think should see this, go ahead and call them right now. We'll show you the replay in just a moment, and we'll do this because there were no serious injuries. And in the meantime, we'll talk about Doug Coletta, who may be, as you indicated, back in the race.
Well, they've given him permission to go out and check the car for an oil leaks. If he makes it around, they bring it in, the engine's running, there are no oil leaks, they're going to let him restart. So they have got permission to go out and see if it's going to run.
Okay, so it may not be over for Doug Coletta, but it is over for several other guys who were involved in this very bad crash out of turn number 2. Let's take a look at it once again as the field came off corner 2.
You can see all the oil that was Hines had backed into the wall, and then everybody else just trying to miss him. And it was his car, his fuel, when he backed in so hard that came out and caught everything on fire. It was his fuel up against the wall, and he's moved away. That's his car clear down the inside as he jumps out. but it was an awful crash. It got a lot of fuel everywhere. We're very lucky that a lot of those cars did not catch on fire.
There you see the final driver getting out of his car and running toward the inside of the racetrack. Meanwhile, there was nothing that anyone could do at the moment. They just had to let the car sit there and burn for a while. But then the safety crew was very, very quick in arriving at the scene. And once they arrived, they got the blaze out very, very quickly.
They certainly did. They have to be commended, because once they got there, it was about probably less than 10 seconds that they had the fire out, and saved Tracy Hines a lot of money, really. If that thing had burned like it started to, it would have been very, very costly.
So we have almost half the race over with. 12 laps have been completed. We reduce it to 25, and before too long, we should be going racing once again in the midget feature, to be followed by the Silver Crown feature at Richmond. Back in just a moment.